So am I starting from the beginning?
Yes.
From the top. Hi there, I'm Nour.
And I'm Roedah, and this is BOGO, the podcast with 2 rotating segments for the price of 1.
That's right. Every week you'll get an episode of Chapter Chit Chat, our cozy, unfiltered book talk where we read excerpts and spiral into deep discussion.
And you'll also get an
Episode.
And you'll also get an episode of Almost Experts, which we are doing today. This is the part of the show where we react to your stories, your dilemmas, your existential crises,
and respond with our most sincere, absolutely unqualified opinions. Think of us as your internet siblings. Part Gen Z.
part millennial,
All opinions.
0 related credentials. Whether you are here for advice or just want to feel better about yourself,
You're in the right place.
let's get into it. So, the last time we tried filming a scary story episode, it kind of went like this.
The hell is that?
And then like this.
Wasn't your both hearing stuff? No, I'm hearing stuff. That was not the damn cats downstairs. I just heard a
sound like this.
rustling. You heard that too, right?
Why are you laughing? Because I laugh when things are not good. And finally like this.
Oh, hell no. Do you not hear that?
How do we hear that? Like, let's play it in slow motion too. One more time. Amazing. Okay. But we're back. Well rested and mentally prepared. Actually, it's 3 a.m., but well rested and mentally prepared, kind of. And this time, we are finishing the episode. Wish us luck.
Okay, fair warning. If you're eating, maybe hit the pause button and put whatever it is down because this case is a full-on horror movie. We're talking skinning, cooking, and setting the house on fire to top it all off. Yeah, this woman did not just snap. She opened a 5-course revenge menu. So buckle up.
And this is true crime.
Okay, I read some wild true crime cases, but this one actually made me feel sick. Not even kidding. It's like Hannibal Lecter stuff, but real. And the worst part, it was done by a woman in Australia to her boyfriend. So her name's Catherine Knight. She worked in a slaughterhouse. Red flag. And apparently loved it. She even kept her own set of knives above her bed. Whoa.
Double red flag.
Not joking. Anyways, she was in a super toxic relationship with this guy named John Price. He finally took out a restraining order on her, literally that same day after years of her abusing him. 3rd red flag. He even told his coworkers, if I don't show up tomorrow, she probably killed me. He wasn't wrong. That night, she stabbed him 37 times while he was sleeping. Was the 36th time not enough? But that was just the beginning. She skinned him, literally peeled off his entire skin in one piece.
Was she hungry?
You know when you like, do like crispy salmon skin? I'm sorry, that's so disgusting. Wow. You okay?
Yeah.
You need some water? Okay.
You know, have you ever had okonomiyaki? It's like the Japanese pancakes, but on top they have the little fish flakes. And then the fish flakes waver like this when it hits the heat.
Oh.
I don't know where I'm going with that, but there you go.
Let me lick my lips.
Are you hungry?
You know what? I kind of am. Not for this, though. Oh, wait. What am I doing? Okay. Then she hung it up on a meat hook in the living room. What did she do with the rest? So she took the skin And she just hung it.
No, she hung the body up after she skinned it.
Okay. It's an interesting chandelier. Okay. She cut off his head and cooked it in a pot with veggies. Then she sliced off parts of his body, baked them with potatoes and pumpkin, made gravy, and set the table with it. She made place cards with the names of his kids. Let that sink in. She was about to serve their father to them for dinner. A third plate was found outside. Some people think she might have tried to eat it herself, but couldn't go through with it. Police, why stop there? Why? You got to see it through, my boy. You know that audio? You got to see it through.
I was thrown over the fact that he has children.
Where were the children?
And she was trying to feed him to them.
You know, actually, I've heard that like human meat is actually tasty and very addictive.
And who told you this?
There's that whole like conspiracy theory that that's what they put in McDonald's.
Girl, only outside me out. What do you mean?
And like, cause like the cost of producing that many like burger patties isn't.
It's not efficient.
Yeah, it's not attainable. So they say that they use human meat.
Where did they get the humans from?
Do you know how many humans go missing every year around the world?
Where did you hear about human meat being addictive?
She might have made me a plate too. Okay, a third plate was found outside. Some people think she might have tried to eat it herself, but couldn't go through with it. Police found her passed out on pills, maybe tried to off herself, but survived. When the cops got there, even the forensics team were wrecked. Some quit their jobs after seeing the scene. There was blood everywhere, skin hanging like a curtain. I told you she hung up the skin. His head simmering in a pot. Oh, straight up horror movie stuff. And it's not like this came out of nowhere. She had a long history of violence. She tried to strangle her first husband on their wedding night. Hit another guy with a frying pan and burned his clothes. Slit a puppy's throat in front of a boyfriend to scare him. Took a kid hostage with a knife. People literally warned her partners she was capable of killing. No one stopped her. She pled guilty in 2001 and got life in prison with no parole. First woman in Australia to ever get that sentence. She's still there today. No remorse at all. This case just hit different. The brutality, the planning, the fact that she treated him like an animal carcass, and people say women don't commit violent crimes like men do. She might be one of the worst. How does someone like this slip through the cracks for so long? Do you think she should have been in a psychiatric hospital? Or is she just evil, plain and simple?
You can be psychopathic and evil.
Yeah. Even if you're a psychopath, your actions can be controlled. No? 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 I like that she added vegetables. Like,
did the pumpkin and potato gravy sound good to you? The thing is people say women, the line about people saying women don't commit as violent crimes as men do, I think it happens maybe on a lesser frequency, like by count or quantity. But quality, top tier.
She made up for every woman who has committed a crime throughout history. She made it count.
Okay, hang on. Apparently, they missed some details. But she tried to kill her 2-month-old daughter on a railway line also. Stole an axe, went into town, threatened to kill people. And then she was arrested, taken to a hospital, and then recovered and signed herself out the next day. The worst part of it was that it happened. Not that it was done by a woman or anything like that, but just that it happened. It's
why did they make it about gender?
It's absolutely gruesome.
I mean, if we're gonna make it about gender, I don't think women should work in slaughterhouses, and I don't think women should work at all.
You said something different in a different episode.
Women should not do anything. I'm trying to keep a straight face. I'm joking, guys. As a woman, you can be anything, do anything, eat anything. Okay, no, actually, this is wrong. I forget that this is true crime, not
it's
one of the gin stories.
Oh, you think she was possessed?
No. I would not chalk it up to that. And even if you are, do you think?
You know, there's this line in the story that you read where it said something about like she had gone for years abusing other partners, and like everyone would warn her partners, but like it never really amounted to anything. Like people were still getting with her, and it just feels like that is maybe the result of how like female on male abuse gets written off, just based on like traditional gender dynamics, and like the acceptance of female on male domestic violence being much higher, and like almost like seen as foolish or silly to raise alarm on.
But I feel like also it goes the other way. Like you'll know a man is abusive or like hot-headed, and women will still get with him anyway because they think they can change him or whatever it is.
True. With women, they just don't take it seriously. No, I'm not going to do that to me. I hold my own, you know.
What you mean? Yeah.
She's just a woman, you know. Yeah. There's a comment that says, as with many abusers and murderers, and particularly with female ones, she was essayed numerous times as a child by men in her family, per the very good case file episode on this case. And her father was a terrible alcoholic who beat and arred her mother repeatedly and abused his children. She then married an alcoholic, her first husband, who was also abusive. She was not, quote unquote, evil. She was an extremely damaged person who repeated the cycle of abuse she grew up in to an extreme degree. It's a shame she wasn't given the psychiatric help she needed before hurting anyone. So to answer your question, yes, she should have been in a psychiatric hospital or given outpatient treatment, therapy, and medication. Someone then replied, this is really interesting discourse. Someone then replied, how is that different from the majority of killers? You can acknowledge the tragedy of one's upbringing without trying to diminish their crimes, which is what you said. Like, you're still held responsible. Like, you should still be held accountable regardless.
But I do think that first commenter is trying to explain away her behavior because she's a woman. No? Because I don't see...
A victim of abuse. A victim of abuse. She's trying to write it off as like, oh, victims become perpetrators. Which, I mean, like, that's a true cycle. But, like, that doesn't mean that just because you were a victim and now you're a perpetrator, it, like, cancels out.
But I'm saying, like, are they more inclined? Sorry, I didn't mean to state that they're doing it because she's a woman. I'm wondering if they're more inclined to comment that and explain her behavior and, like, the impact her childhood had on her because she's a woman. Because I don't really see many comments like that under Ted Bundy stuff.
Like, it's implying excusing her for it, almost.
Could it be because of her gender? I don't know. I think whether you're male or female, if you commit a crime, even if you've had a rough childhood, like, it's your obligation to seek psychiatric help, like they said, and deal with your issues. And no one gets a free token, or I don't know. Yeah. I know that's not what they're saying, but just like trying to explain it, or almost feels like a write-off.
For me, the worst part is still the fact that, I mean, yes, she killed him. That's absolutely undoable. Unacceptable. Yeah. But
vegetables?
She tried to feed him to his kids. Like, she had not just flew off in a rage, but then carried on with absolute malicious intent to then bring that harm beyond just her victim, but like everyone around him. That is frightening. And like, you can make jokes about like, oh, a woman scorned, like, you know, hell hath fury, a woman scorned, or whatever that phrase is. But truly, if she had had a history like that, yeah, there's nothing really excusing it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, whether the question is if she deserved to receive help, psychiatric help, or not, like, I don't know. And this might be a hot take, but like, I don't know if everyone deserves to be rehabilitated. Sometimes people just need to serve time. What do you guys think? That feels like a heavy question. Well, in the next story, we're going to talk about how a dishonest situation can really blow up in your face. So, have you ever met a person who seems a little too sad to be real? This story proves that sometimes a sob story isn't just a tearjerker, but can be a full-on trap. This is a long one, so bear with me. And a bit of context. Here goes the post. I, 21 female, work in the hospitality industry, specifically doing graveyard shifts, usually running from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I have seen and dealt with some of the most insane experiences. I could probably write a book at this point. But this particular experience was one of the most frightening. I was brought up to be caring, empathetic, understanding. These core values mean a lot to me, and I live by them. On numerous occasions, I've been told that constantly having this mentality could lead to me being targeted by other people with ill intentions. But I didn't believe that. It's nice to be nice, after all. But in hindsight, after everything that happened, I've learned to be a little bit more skeptical. Usually on these graveyard shifts, there's 2 of us in the building at all times. Just 2 people in the building at all times. And when we finish our work, we are basically free to sit down and relax for the remainder of our shifts. Or at least until the morning manager arrives at roughly 6 a.m. So I did just that, finished my tasks, and sat down in the main area of the building to have a late night snack and watch some reels on my phone, as you do. My coworker decided he would take a nap as it was roughly 3 a.m. at this point and no one was around. Fine by me. About 20 minutes passed and I heard a commotion near the bar area. Obviously, I looked up from my phone only to meet the eyes of this man, around 40 maybe, just standing at the bar counter. This was not unusual. Oftentimes, people come back to grab some water or a smoke before heading back to bed. I didn't think anything of it, and I went back to doom scrolling on my phone. Sorry, excuse me, I let out a sigh, thinking to myself, what could this man possibly want from me at 3:30 a.m.? I stood up and asked if he was okay, and apologized for being on my phone, hoping he wouldn't complain to my manager in the morning. He responded, but I couldn't quite pick up what he was saying. I walked over to the bar and kindly asked him to repeat himself, apologizing for not hearing him. Is it okay if I have some water? He was shaking, almost nervous, soft-spoken, and honestly non-threatening, bar the fact that he was about 6 feet tall and I'm 5 foot tall. Of course, I said yes, and went to walk away when he stopped me. I'm sorry, is it okay if I talk to you for a while? My mom is dying in a hospital and I can't sleep. Looking back, I'm kicking myself for not making up some excuse about needing to do work, but I agreed to stay and talk with him. Stupid empathy. He asked if I smoked, and I do, so I said yes. And then he asked me to step outside to smoke and talk, and I stupidly agreed.
Why?
Because...
Why?
You know how some girls feel like they need to say yes to everyone, though?
Yeah, that's my issue. It's 3 a.m. You have no obligation to talk to this man. Why would you go outside and smoke with him?
We talked about his mom, and I tried my best to comfort him. And I just recently had someone pass away, so the topic of conversation hit particularly hard. He thanked me for being so kind and continued to talk about his life, how he used to be homeless, but he moved in with his sister and got back on his feet, and that they were both staying here due to the circumstances, but were not from the city. I listened and occasionally responded by nodding. It was a polite conversation, but then something changed. Are there cameras out here? I wouldn't want you to get in trouble for being out here. How this didn't register in my head as a red flag is unbelievable. How gullible can you be? Anyway.
You take that cigarette and you put it out on his nose.
Not the eye?
No, the nose.
Remember in self-defense? Go with the eyes.
And scream
the eyes,
loudly.
The throat, the knees. All right? And then, the crotch. All right. Anyway, thankfully, I didn't respond with yes or no, just assured him I wouldn't get into trouble for being outside smoking. He seemed disappointed with my answer. I presume because he didn't get any information about where the cameras were being placed. The conversation just kept getting weirder and creepier. None of this I realized at the time. I just saw a sad man needing a friend. Yes, I know. I'm stupid. And I'm angry at myself too.
Yeah.
Eventually, some form of fight or flight activated in my brain, and I told him I was cold and I was going to head in. Come here and give me a hug. It'll warm you up. WTF?
Not the give me a hug guy.
At this point, I'm creeped out.
You know, like that one guy in high school that's like, where my hug at?
Ew.
My hug. Like all the girls.
Ew.
Did you have one of those?
No.
Oh, I had plenty.
Oof.
This is what they grow up to be.
White kids are different, huh? Okay. Come here and give me a hug. It'll warm you up. WTF? At this point, I'm creeped out, but thinking maybe he's just bad at picking up social cues or something, so I declined and walked inside, and he followed. He asked if he could grab a coffee and sit with me for a while, and being by myself on the verge of a panic attack and not wanting to get on this guy's bad side, I agreed. We sat there, and he continued to ask odd questions. Do you have kids? No. Do you want kids? Do you have a boyfriend? I told him I had a fiance. A lie. Do you love him? I mean, no harm in asking these questions. You're so beautiful. At this point, my brain was screaming at me to get out of the situation. I had to think quick. Come sit next to me. I won't bite. Hell no. I quickly made up the excuse that I had to get to the area ready for the morning and that my manager would be showing up any minute. At the same time, my coworker woke up from his nap and passed by to get a coffee, and this startled the man, and he stood up before saying, "Tell your mom I was asking for her," forcing a hug, and left to go to his room.
No.
Oh my God. He was pretending to be a family friend so that my coworker wouldn't be suspicious.
Immediately no.
It was a long time ago. I stood there in shock, not even being able to speak. My brain was still trying to process what the hell just happened. I kept quiet, helping my coworker set up for the morning as it was now 5:30 a.m. Yes, I was dealing with this man for 2 whole hours. I sat down at 5:50 and waited for my manager to show up so I could finally go home, hoping that the man wouldn't come back before I had to leave. Wishful thinking. He showed up behind me out of nowhere. I think I'll go to the shops. I'm out of smokes. Okay. Go. And I need to know this why. I kept silent before he asked me for my pen, which I gave him, and he walked off again. He returned 5 minutes later and gave me back my pen. I wrote a note for you, stood close to me, dropped a piece of cardboard behind my back, and walked away. In hindsight, I see how sneaky this was. He made sure no one could see him dropping that note. I picked it up. It was pretty weird, but one line in particular made my skin crawl. Wear tighter work pants for me next time. They look good. Harmless. I ran to the office and sat in front of the CCTV monitor, seeing exactly where he was. He was standing outside the building, pacing, waiting. He then walked back into the building, and on camera I could see he was looking for me, but thankfully at this point I was in the office, so he walked back outside, starting to pace again and waiting before hiding himself out of sight behind a corner.
You could call the cops, you could call security, you could leave or maybe not leave.
She was security, right?
Like backup security. Your coworker.
Yeah, she should have said something. She should have said something.
Why?
Okay, so then she continues. I told my manager, who told me to exit via the back entrance, which I did. I was shaking, checking behind me every few seconds. Every noise making me run faster and faster until eventually I reached the safety of my home. I sat down processing what just happened when suddenly my phone vibrated. Hey, it's... Thanks for the chat. Talk soon.
How did he get her number?
How did he get my number? I have never blocked someone quicker in my life. I told the higher-ups what had happened and didn't return to work for at least a month. And until until he was permanently barred from my workplace. I still fear I'll see him somewhere, that he will be waiting. Thankfully, I haven't seen him since and don't wish to, but if you're reading this, let's not meet again.
Ladies, if your mom never told you this, I'm going to be your mom today. As 21-year-old Gen Z BOGO Bean podcast host, don't entertain strange men. If you feel the heebie-jeebies, leave immediately. Like, you don't have to be nice.
But she didn't even clock the heebie-jeebies until later. So it's literally like, if they have no business talking to you, you have no business giving them attention.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, yeah, exactly. That's what I meant by heebie-jeebies. Like, from the beginning, him asking her to go outside and smoke a cigarette with her. Why? There's no reason to succumb to that.
There's no reason to be nice. Being nice doesn't get you anywhere in life. And you can be kind to people in the right circumstances. You can operate with empathy. But you don't have to extend yourself when you're already in a vulnerable position. She mentioned like a huge size difference. It's the middle of the night.
It's only her and her coworker.
Just all of that is enough red flags, and you owe nothing to anyone. You don't even owe an answer to a single question. You don't owe your name, your age. You don't owe anything to anyone. That's all sensitive information.
Exactly. And even if he thinks you're rude, so what? Literally,
eyes,
so what?
throat, knees. Okay? Eyes, throat, knees. Crotch. Remember that. And then crotch last.
Yeah.
If you like have to. But if you can get away first. So eyes, throat, knees.
What's an acronym for that? It's Nick. This sounds like out of your word.
Knees start with K.
Sorry. That was a slow moment. Okay, so what would you say, Smarty Pants? What would you say?
Instead of throat, I'd say neck, so ink.
No, I like etnica. It just rolls off the tongue really nice and easily. So remember, ladies, etnica? When strange men ask you to smoke cigarettes with them, even if their mom is dead.
Bro. If anybody comes up to you with a sob story, that's the first line of like suspicion that should be raised. Honestly, like, who are you? Who am I? What's our relationship? Why are you telling me this?
At 3 a.m.
It doesn't matter like when or where. Like, if you're approaching me on that basis, that is strange. If you have no one else to talk to, that is also strange, because if you have chosen to self-isolate or something, you're not going to go to a stranger anyways. So you coming up to me leaves me to think that you more likely have ill intent than not. So
apply etnica. Okay. No.
No.
All right. Up next, picture this. A college student vanishes in South Padre, and the trail leads to a real-life death cult. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, I've been deep diving older cases and came across this one again. It's honestly one of the most disturbing stories I've ever read, the kind that stays with you. Some of you might already know it, but if you haven't heard of the Mark Kilroy case, buckle up. This one is brutal. So Mark was a 21-year-old pre-med student at the University of Texas. Smart, athletic, classic, all-American guy. He looks like it too. He's got a, what do you call him?
A full-on mullet.
No.
From the 80s.
Not a mohawk, a mullet. He went to South Padre Island for spring break with the 3 of his high school buddies. Beaches, bars, flirting, the usual spring break chaos. A few nights in, the group decides to cross the border into Matamoros, Mexico. Back then, it was normal for students to head over just to party since the drinks were cheaper and the vibe was wild. They'd done it the night before with no problem. But on March 14, around 2:30 a.m., while walking back toward the border, Mark got separated from his friends. One of them had stepped outside, and when he got back, Mark was just gone, like vanished. They waited, searched, checked the car, but he never showed. They reported him missing the next morning. At first, it looked like just another spring breaker getting lost or maybe arrested. But Mark's family pushed hard. His uncle worked for U.S. Customs, so the case got serious attention fast. Still, nothing turned up for weeks. Then things got dark, really dark. On April 1st, Mexican police chased a guy who ran a checkpoint and ended up at a remote ranch called Santa Elena, about 20 miles outside Matamoros. They found some weird stuff there: drugs, ritual objects, strange altars. 8 days later, on April 11th, police returned in force and arrested several people. That's when the truth came out. One of the men confessed. Mark had been kidnapped by a cult led by Adolfo de Jesus Constanzo, a Cuban-American drug trafficker and self-proclaimed El Padrino, the Godfather. His group was called Los Narcostanicos, basically a mix of cartel violence and twisted occult beliefs, mainly a perversion of Palo Mayombe, which involves ritual sacrifice, except Constanzo took it way further. He believed human sacrifice gave him protection for his drug business. They'd been killing people for a while, usually random locals or rivals. But, thoughts? Share with the class.
My brain's like screaming too many things right now. I can't say anything yet.
Okay. They'd been killing people for a while, usually random locals or rivals, but Constanzo wanted something superior for the next ritual. A smart, fit American. Why is that superior? That's why they grabbed Mark. They pretended to be cops and told him he was drunk in public. He went quietly. At some point, he tried to run, but they caught him at gunpoint. They kept him tied up overnight in a car. The next day, they took him to the field behind the ranch. I hate typing this part. What happened to Mark was horrific. He was tortured, possibly essayed. Constanzo then offed him with a blow to the head or neck. Accounts vary. They removed his brain and boiled it in a cauldron with blood, bones, a tortoise shell, and other ritual items. His spine was removed and threaded with wire so it could be worn as a necklace. His legs were chopped off, and he was buried with 14 other victims in the shallow grave. Oh man, that's a lot. 15 bodies were found at Santa Elena. Some sources say there may have been up to 27, but 15 were confirmed. Most were mutilated in horrific ways, missing hearts, ears, spines, ritual killings. The cult leader Constanzo fled to Mexico City with his inner circle, including Sarah Aldrete, a Texas college student who lived a double life. By day, she was a normal student. By night, she was La Madrina, the godmother, in his death cult. Think about that. Man. On May 6th, cops tracked him to an apartment. Constanzo started throwing money out the window and firing a gun, trying to create chaos. Before police could get him, he ordered one of his own followers to shoot him and another cult member dead. When police finally went in, both were already gone. Sarah Aldrete and others were arrested. In 1993, Aldrete and several others were convicted. Sentences ranged from 30 to 60 years. Aldrete is still in prison. 2 members of the cult are still out there and have never been caught. Mark's family turned their grief into action and created a foundation to fight substance abuse. They've spoken a lot about travel safety and how what happened to Mark wasn't just bad luck. It was a collision of drugs, belief, and violence. What still blows my mind is how a college student on spring break ended up in a satanic drug cult cauldron. That this stuff was happening in real life, not in a horror movie, and that some of the killers are still free. For drugs? You're doing all of this to thinking it's securing your drug business?
You know, I was trying to figure out why the sentences were so light, 30 to 60 years, but 15 bodies. And it's because this Kilroy guy was the first American they had killed. And so genuinely, they should have received much longer sentences for the amount of wrong done.
Sarah Aldrete got a 45-year term and still maintains her innocence. So she's still pled innocent?
And continues to. So we're clear. South Padre is across the border. Is that right? In Mexico? And then Sarah Aldrete is in prison here in America. Right?
So she's American?
No,
Why didn't they sacrifice her?
I think the
wanted-
authorities only got involved once an American was, I don't know. I don't know how that works, honestly, but a lot of times when you hear about cults nowadays, there's just some weird sense of like, a leader who should have no leadership. A lot of essays. Yeah, a lot of like.
Can you guys just
brainwashing?
Think for yourselves?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, the next one is an unsettling tale of national acclaim. All right. On June 15th, 2017, the tranquility of Bolivar, Ohio, was shattered by a horrifying act of violence at the Stockdale family farm. The Stockdales had long been known in their community for their strict Christian values, their self-sufficient lifestyle, and the musical talent known as the Stockdale Family Bluegrass Band. Their fame had even extended to the national television through an appearance on the reality show Wife Swap. But beneath the surface of this seemingly wholesome family lay tensions and complexities that would end in tragedy. Tim and Kathy Stockdale, both graduates of Ohio State University, shared a vision of raising their 4 sons, Calvin, Charles, Jacob, and James, in a world insulated from the perceived ills of modern society. They moved to a 150-year-old farm in Bolivar, Ohio in 1999, seeking a life of hard work, organic farming, and spiritual purity. The boys were homeschooled, their days structured from dawn to dusk with chores, music practice, and religious study. Television, video games, and unsupervised socializing were forbidden, and their diet was tightly controlled, with processed food and sugar being banned from the house. Music was the family's glue. All 4 boys became accomplished musicians, with second youngest Jacob in particular emerging as a prodigy on the fiddle. The Stockdale family band became a fixture at local fairs and churches, their energetic bluegrass performances earning them a loyal following. Kathy managed the band with what many described as intense micromanagement, ensuring the family's values were reflected in every aspect of their public persona. In 2007, the Stockdales were approached by the producers of Wife Swap, a reality show that thrived on placing families with radically different values in each other's homes. Despite initial reluctance, the family didn't even own a TV. The Stockdales agreed, lured by the promise of a significant payment that would help their struggling farm. Kathy swapped places with Lori Tonkovich, a mother from a chaotic, permissive urban household in Illinois. The contrast could not have been starker. Lori's children were allowed to party, shirk chores, and pursue romantic relationships freely, while Kathy's boys lived under strict rules and constant supervision. The show's producers, known for amplifying drama, created scenarios designed to provoke conflict and highlight the extremes of both families' lifestyles. During the swap, Kathy was appalled by the Tonkovich's lack of discipline, while Lori was disturbed by what she saw as the Stockdale's stifling control. Lori later claimed that Jacob, then a teenager, was so distressed by the introduction of television and video games that he ran outside crying, terrified that he would burn in hell for breaking his parents' rules. Lori believed that Stockdale children were denied the ability to make choices and experience normal childhood freedoms. When the episode aired in 2008, both families faced public backlash. The Scottsdales were criticized for their rigid parenting, with some viewers accusing Kathy and Tom of emotional abuse. The family, however, seemed unfazed by the controversy. Kathy was promoted and even Kathy even promoted the episode on her blog, and the band continued to perform, capitalizing on their newfound notoriety. Despite the show's portrayal, friends and neighbors described the Stockdales as loving and supportive. The boys, as they grew older, pursued their own paths. Calvin and Charles attended... Okay.
Yeah, Charles, I'm listening.
Okay. Calvin and Charles attended college and started families, while Jacob and James continued performing as a duo. Jacob, in particular, was content to remain at home, farming and teaching music. On the afternoon of June 15, 2017, Stark County deputies responded to a 911 hang-up call from the Stockdale residence. As they approached the house, they heard gunshots. Inside, they found a scene of unimaginable horror. Kathy, 54, and James, 21, had been shot dead. Jacob, 25, was found alive but critically injured from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. The evidence indicated that Jacob had killed his mother and brother before attempting suicide. The news stunned the community and reignited debate about the family's lifestyle. Some, including Lori Tonkovich, pointed to the strict upbringing and lack of freedom as potential factors in the tragedy. Others, who knew the Stockdales, insisted that the family was not as isolated or repressive as depicted on Wife Swap, describing them as sociable, intelligent, and genuinely close-knit. Tim and his surviving sons, Calvin and Charles, publicly forgave publicly forgave Jacob for killing his mother and brother, expressing their love and support for him even as they mourned Kathy and James.
Huh?
The company rallied around the family, raising funds for medical and legal expenses. Jacob spent months in critical condition, followed by years in years in psychiatric care. He was eventually deemed competent to stand trial, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder, and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Okay. Throughout the ordeal, the question of motive remained unanswered. Was Jacob's act the result of mental illness, religious guilt, or some combination of factors? The family and their supporters rejected the simplistic narrative that strict parenting alone could explain such violence. Mental health professionals noted that in insular religious communities, mental illness is often stigmatized or overlooked, with faith seen as the primary remedy for religious or psychological distress. The Stockdale case became known as the Wife Swap murders, a label that emphasized the enduring impact of reality television on public perception. The show's edited, dramatized portrayal of the family shaped how millions understood their tragedy, often overshadowing the more nuanced reality of their lives. As one friend observed, the Stockdales were a lot less strict than Wife Swap depicts, and as human beings, they were actually really sweet people. The murders remain a source of sorrow and bewilderment for all who knew the family. For the Stockdales, faith and music continue to be sources of solace as they seek to heal and remember the loved ones they lost. The story stands as a cautionary tale about the dangers of simplistic judgments, the complexities of mental health, and the unpredictable consequences of fame in the age of reality TV. I haven't done a lot of research on this case. I just, found it and thought it was really intriguing. But it definitely does make me think about repression and how it can lead to emotional outbursts and or physical outbursts even.
It's interesting how they didn't really give much time, the family, before they forgave the son.
Yeah, that's also really strange.
That just looks fake. That screams fake to me. Screams performance. I mean, no matter who you are, no matter how much you love family and all of that stuff, you will take time to grieve, process that.
Oops, I fell asleep.
It is bedtime.
She fell asleep earlier while I was reading.
You said
you were listening, but you literally went, you twitched.
But
it's on camera, I'm pretty sure.
It is 3:29 a.m.
It's time for us to go pray. pray. So,
Can you do this face?
what face?
The influencer face?
You've asked me this before. It looks funny on me.
We should do an episode like this. Okay, guys. We are going to hit the haystack. Haystack. Is it haystack or haystack?
Girl, you just said we hit the hay.
Oh.
No,
No, you say haystack.
just a sack. That's it.
Haystack.
No, just a sack.
Just a sack?
Hit the sack.
We're going to hit the sack.
No, hit the hay is an actual.
We're going to hit the haystack. You know what?
It's hit the hay. I know I'm right. I'm the most culturally profound out of three of us. Okay.
Culturally profound.
That wasn't the right word. Culturally aware.
Dude,
Hit the culture? Hit the cult.
I'm typing what you're saying. Hit the culturally
Hit
profound.
the hay.
Hey, saying.
Yeah.
No. Hold on.
Hit the hay means go to bed.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna hit the hay. I don't like that anymore. We're gonna bite the dust. No, that means dying. We are not going to bite. Okay,
Inshallah.
we've had enough true crime for one night.
We should do true crime from Seattle one of these days.
Yeah, when I move out, when I move away.
Far, far, far away. That means okay. Never mind. It's not gonna happen. Okay.
Way over the rainbow. Oh, what's the next lyric? I know you know.
don't
You're
know it.
culturally aware.
Profound.
I
Profound.
just meant profound. I didn't mean. No. You're the aware one. I'm just profound.
Come on. What's the next?
No, I actually don't know. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Good night, BOGO beans. Sleep tight. Hit the hay or
Don't let
whatever.
the bed bugs bite. Don't let the creep in the window.
We hope you enjoyed it. Leave any comments, questions, or leave the concerns to yourself.
Don't say hi to random people.
Yeah, come on. Do better.
Bye, Bogo Beans.
Bye.